Full disclosure, news and commentary number 45, 45, 45, 45, 45. Yes, shooting from a location that is not my couch. Um, I got to get to it. Laptop. I don't know how much power I've got. So I'm just going to jump in. Our commentary tonight is about the battle lines that are being drawn, whether you know it or not. And it's going to make for a very exciting year. Of course, I'm just going to jump to stuff. Thanks to Brett, Brian, Dan, Derek, Diana, Jeffrey, Josh, Larry, not that one, the other one, Logan, Rob Rod. I'm going to talk about Logan and Rob Rod as part of this, by the way. Southern Honor, Double Dropkick, and of course, the 4 people who are contributing $25 in order that I may get the Goodman Awards. And then there are 2 other entities that are giving me a whole lot of money. So I've actually have a separate bank account that I've opened in order to keep the money that is for the Goodman Awards. I'm hoping to get quotes from the trophy people this week, I hope. So I'll know how much they're going to cost to make, etc., etc., etc. So sorry, I realized there was one story that I was forgetting and it was bothering me, and now I remembered what it was. All right, let's get to the unboxing really quick. There's a book. I'm going to open that. I suspect I know what it is because I was telling a friend of mine as I unpacked and stuff like that and cleaned up my place for my party, which went very well, by the way. My blood and blood out cake was amazing. And people gave me really cool presents, which I was not expecting. I was mentioning some things that I knew that I had lost somewhere along the way, either because I lent them to somebody or they got lost in the move or whatever. And I suspect this is one of those books that they're replacing for me, which is very nice. Unfortunately, my bitch ass can't tear this rather significant package, so I'm going to cut it real quick. I'll be right back. Woo. I hope. It is Ari Gold, Rules to Rule by, a gold standard. It's supposed to be kind of a joke book. Ari Gold is the agent's name from Entourage. This book is absolutely incredible, and it actually is. It's supposed to be like a self-help book from the perspective of this character. It's more pro wrestling than most pro wrestling is nowadays. I'm definitely going to do an analysis of this book for a video, hopefully sometime this week. There's no tipping point this week, by the way. It will be next week. And the responses to the prediction videos have been incredible. And I'm going to do another video about that as well. Whole lot of stuff to do. Let's get to the actual unboxing. To this, which is probably a t-shirt. So let's get it open and then get to the news. Lots of news from this last weekend in Georgia wrestling. So it's super exciting time. Shirt. Yeah, come on over here, Lena. So, oh, this one's really sweet. Oh, cool. I don't know who sent it. I didn't bother to look for a note yet. But it says aloha. Still hoping to get to my reunion in June. February is a big time because it's the high school I went to puts on this big carnival, which is a big, huge event. So the Punahou Carnival happened in the Mighty 90, the class of 1990 that I graduated with. They always manned the taco salad booth. So I got to see a lot of and enjoy a lot of pictures about that. But this is always nice. It's always nice to get a taste of home. And I love this Aloha shirt because I just noticed something. She got a little knife here. Ooh, so hospitable, polite, lovely, exotic, yet dangerous, just like me. By the way, look at this one. She looks awesome, does she not? How are you going to outdress me on my video? Not acceptable. Not acceptable. Not acceptable.
Me and my Mr. Rogers sweater are gonna rule the world.
Yeah, you and your Mr. Rogers sweater are gonna rule the world. You look awesome, Blossom. All right, let's get to this news. I got all kinds of stuff scattered. I got chess pieces. I got my Japanese tea set. So yes, something about that's going down. I got my reverse card in case I need it. I got my Magic 8 Ball. I got my bell for the rant for the rant ring, and let's go. So let's start. APW drew 65. It's about right for them. PCW drew a little over 50. Hold My Beer Hansen is the new dealer's choice champion. I guess it's something where the champion gets to decide the stipulation of his defenses. Very interesting. Something I would have never done, but again, it's not mine. And PCW seems to have gotten themselves back on the right track after a show or two that was kind of wonky. And Brian Blaze is the PCW champion, which I'm very happy about. Brian Blaze, a guy I trained, a guy I have a great deal of affection for, a guy who has become not just a great hand, but a great performer and a main eventer. And now he is a PCW champion, and I'll be honest, I love it. I think that's great. And Wrestle America drew 275 in a show that Larry Goodman did not like. Rant. So, rant number one. Wrestle America, a group that's been like promotion of the year. It's still obviously drawing well, and their audience loves what they're doing. But I think you can argue that they're not top 10 in spite of that huge crowd draw. Okay, and 275, that's more than Southern Fried did, right? But yet, Wrestle America, obviously, who's booking that shit? Because whoever's booking that shit doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Larry was very nice in his report, even though for Larry Goodman lately, that was a fucking destruction. But that's not a destruction, this is. Like, Dominic Stuckey is the main event. Are we being real with that? And that's not so much a knock on Dominic as why are we putting him in positions where he isn't carrying it, isn't carrying the water? That doesn't do him any favors. And so they got the manager guy is now their champ, and that battle royal was said to just be a complete clusterfuck. And those fans, they like that shit. And what it's doing is, you know, I thought the response to me going like, we need to bring South Georgia into the fold would be overwhelmingly positive. And some people very publicly were about it, like Drew Blood, who said, I think rightfully so, those crowds are into the shit, those shows are a lot of fun, and blah, blah, blah. But you know what he didn't say, because he wasn't being dishonest, is does the wrestling not suck? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I would tend to guess that it does. And after the professors of wrestling have repeatedly called, guys, send us your shit. And Georgia wrestling history has always openly said, send us your shit. Not one of those fuckers have. I mean, Spinebuster continues to do their thing, but nobody else does. What's going on? The hand is being extended, and if you choose not to take it, like I'm gonna fucking talk about Viral and how they've been bitching and pissing and moaning that nobody from Georgia wrestling history sent a representative to come see their show when there's fucking snow going on and parts of the state are shutting down and there's other shows happening and all the rest of that shit, but at least they give a fuck. South Georgia, do you give a fuck? Is Wrestle America the best wrestling that you have? If that's the case, fuck, man, you're gonna be the weak sister forever. And get your fucking shit together, South Georgia. And Wrestle America, be good, be better. Because you probably lost Larry going to your shows. In fact, he expressed to me that he wishes he did go to fucking Viral. So kudos to Viral for that. That means Viral has leapfrogged way over Wrestle America. And if that doesn't matter to you, Wrestle America, then you're just not in the fucking game. Action. You could argue that they were show of the weekend along with Southern Honor. I think they're running neck and neck. Now, not crowd-wise, but action, packed building, 280. Matt Sells won. Fucking babies were thrown in the air. That clip of the finish of that match, though I thought the palm strike thing looked weird. Nitpicking. But the crowd lost their fucking mind, and it was great. And it's a thing that's been built up and seriously earned. And it's one of those great angles that leaves you going like, where does it go now? And you're fascinated to see. So kudos to fucking action. It's fucking wonderful. Southern Honor, right? I mean, they drew 450. Let's be honest. And they would be the last ones to admit this, but let's be honest. I told myself, with the weather conditions and all the rest of the shit going on, if they drew over 300, they had to consider that a success, and they drew 450. They're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And they had both guys there to review their show, right? So Larry was at Action, which is great. And then you had Rob Rod and Logan Frazier doing Southern Honor. Those reviews were back to back on gwhnewsandnotes.blogspot.com. It's great. One thing I got to say though, Logan Frazier. It's wonderful that you're writing these reviews. And they're very detailed and you have your own style and it's really great. But you're grading. Rob Rod, once upon a time, I called him out for his fucking rating too. His grades. And I said he was too much of a fucking soft touch. And I was right. And Rob Rod, I'm not saying because of my influence, but now his reports are much more valuable. His voice is in them much more. And the grades are not all fucking B plus and above. And I think his reports have become incredibly valuable, second only to Larry Goodman's, and I cannot give one a higher compliment than that. Logan Frazier, you gave that women's match a fucking A. Cracker, please. So what you're saying by your own grading system is the women's match, which was described by just about everybody who saw it as okay at best. You're saying that match was better than every other match on that card except for Joe and Sean Legacy, which you gave an A plus to. A plus means candidate for match of the year, right? Was Joe and Sean Legacy a candidate for match of the year? Was the women's match better than every other match in the card, including Ashton Starr, Corey Hollis ×2, and the main event with the Lynches? And this rant is about being real. If you're going to do these reviews and you're going to do all that stuff, crowd number is important. And Viral finally did get their report in, right? And you good and goddamn well sure that they made sure that that crowd number was real. And they sent me dozens of pictures to prove it. Which is fucking phenomenal. And I'm very happy about that. Logan Frazier, again, very appreciated you doing the reports. But you have to create your own, like the rules of your own world have to make sense. And if you're going to do grades, and I think grades is a fine way to do matches and segments and stuff, you have to be consistent with your own internal logic. Maybe you're going to argue with me and you're going to write me later and you're going to go like, no, that women's match was really something fucking special. Dude, then you need to get laid because it wasn't. Right? By all accounts, it was fine, but it wasn't fucking an A. Just gotta rein it in a little bit. We all want to be liked and we all want to be respected by the boys, but at the end of the day, It's hard to respect somebody who's kissing your ass all the time. News item. An interesting one. Dave Meltzer came out and said this New Japan Pro Wrestling Tour was maybe the least successful one they've ever had. Now, there's been a lot of controversy flying around. I sort of mentioned that thing where, like, some people were telling me that Brian had heat with New Japan, and Brian vehemently denies this and says that he's already booking the like Midwest portion of their tour, and they're very happy with him and they've celebrated with him. But now Dave Meltzer has come out with this, and so a number of other wrestling news sites, because Dave Meltzer doesn't matter, but when Dave Meltzer says something and reports something, that's good enough for all these other news sites to run with it. So who's the master? Dave Meltzer. Show enough. So yeah. So that's very interesting. It's true that they didn't draw more than 1,000 at any of them, and then there were California versions of the New Japan show that drew in the thousands, 2,000, 3,000. So I don't know. I can't wait to see where the dust settles in all of this, but I thought it was noteworthy. And now there's one more show to talk about from the weekend. Viral. Steaming. It's hot. 319 paid, 365. Let's call it 365 because everybody else certainly lumps their comps in. But I appreciate that Viral made the distinction on their own report. And those pictures, undeniably great. 365. But James Caleb Kitchens, of course, has been bitching, moaning, and then a number of Viral fans, some who may be plants of some kind, some that are genuine fans, came at me, private message, GWH should have sent people, etc., etc., etc. Fair enough. Took a big swig of tea for that one. Concentrated effort, full court press, and at first my reaction was fuck you, right? To Charles, I believe, who wrote me, and took really a hardline stance. It happened on my birthday, so my response was bam, as I do, T-Sip, you know me, right? It was something along the lines of fuck you, just because it was the only major show running. It's like Wrestle America was considered a major show as well. And Larry chose to go to that, though Wrestle America didn't do themselves any favors. And like I said, Larry himself admitted, yeah, I guess all said and done, I should go to Viral. Which means you'll get Larry for a future show. Congratulations. Your next show that's in April 18th, which is more than 2 months away. So yes, is Viral a major player? Absolutely. Does Viral or anybody else have the right to fucking tell Rob Rod and Larry and Myron and Nick and whoever where they should have gone? Fuck your mother. No. Again, let me remind everybody that they're doing all of this free of charge and of their own volition, and we've never had so many reports, and there's Logan Frazier as well, and all of these guys are going out and doing show reviews. And now I'm going to go out and do reviews in Florida. And eventually that's probably going to lead to people contacting me about doing their show and going like, why doesn't he do our show? And fuck Steve and do our show. Doesn't work that way, guys. Viral, like I said before, if you do 8 shows a year, and as I reminded Charles, I did show reports for every PCW show that we did. And we did more shows in a month than Viral does in a year. Show every Tuesday and every Friday. And usually with masquerade shows, drum shows, and other shows thrown in the mix as well. And I still did my own show reports. And I'm glad to see Viral got theirs in, because if they didn't, I wouldn't have a whole lot to report on, but they did. And I love the way that Viral sent in their report. But you know what? In one sense, the squeaky wheel shit is annoying as fuck. There is no doubt about it. I don't like the sense of entitlement. However, I do like the hustle and the drive. So I will call it a 50-50, right? But part of it is they feel snubbed. Well, as they arrogantly posted, there are advantages to not doing your show near Atlanta because now our show is running and these other ones are canceled. Let's talk about the ones that are canceled, right? And what that means. Anarchy was canceled. But the Scenic City Rumble being canceled, that's the one that fucking hurts. And let me say right off the bat, both Anarchy and Scenic City deserve a lot of kudos, right? A lot of kudos for handling things in a professional manner, getting the word out there, etc. But has it ever mattered more? Has it ever been more competitive? To the point where Scenic City Rumble being canceled feels like a major blow, especially in light of the Gary Lamb announcement. Now, Anarchy even canceling their show feels like a blow, right? Because one of their advantages is we do 2 shows a month, so our storytelling can progress in such a fashion. It is their advantage over the once-a-month shows, which is just about everybody else at this point. And to lose that advantage hurts. But the Scenic City Rumble canceling at the same time when Southern Honor is announcing that they're going to do their own SCI, so clever, on May 1st and 2nd. That's tough. That's tough. It's Gary Lamb hitting with a right hand lead. You don't expect it to happen, but pow, a right hand got in there and clocked him. What's my initial take on Southern Honor doing a 2-day tournament and announcing Joe Black as the first entrant? Boy, it's ballsy. Here, I'll just go into it, right? Since this is what I do. I talk and then I keep talking. I was gonna save this segment, but let's fucking go. So my initial thought is, the initial reaction is, oh, we should do a wait and see thing. Fuck wait and see. Let's start talking. Let's judge. Here's our judgment. What are they going to draw? Scenic City, it's no secret, in the last 2 years has not drawn nearly as well as it once did. What would you expect the Southern Honor Tournament to draw? Might they double Scenic City's draw each night? And if they do, is that not a point in their favor? So that's one category. Here's another one. Scenic City often discusses the kind of money that they raise. So let's just call it a gate. There's draw, there's gate. Who's going to make more money? Who's going to draw more people? Artistically, booking-wise, what's going to be the better show? This is another place where Scenic City now has to be nervous because it's more than just the tournaments, the other segments you put in. And while the person who won the tournament last year, it seemed to be the right choice and it seemed to go very effectively, it wasn't a local story. And they missed a golden opportunity having Marco Stunt there during the whole ballyhoo with Gunnar Miller, and they didn't get Gunnar Miller there to make an appearance with Marco Stunt. a chance to fucking get national attention. They didn't do it. And then they did the thing with Matt Griffin and Billy Buck, and it just came across as not great at all. The pressure is on Scenic City. But while the pressure is on Scenic City, it's also on Gary Lamb and Southern Honor for this tournament as well. Because now it's been announced and there's no going back and there's dates. And they don't get the luxury of, let's see how it goes this first year. They have to kill it. They have to kill it. And they have to win decisively in every category. Draw, gate, artistically how good the show is. And the both of them presumably are doing their tournaments in large part to give local guys a real look and to put a real spotlight on it. Scenic City, the one place that they're going to be way ahead is this notion of the Twitterverse and wrestling Twitter and all these guys who come in from all over the place. But you know what? I bet you, I mean, we're talking about how much does it help the boys and how much attention does it get nationally? Those are the 4 standards. And then I'm going to put in a 5th, which is what is history going to say? Those are the 5 ways that this is going to be judged. Let me get back to Viral now. Viral. I know Viral is upset that Georgia Wrestling History wasn't there. Though knowing Larry, he's going to go to future shows, and knowing Larry, he's going to post their show results and probably put up a bunch of pictures and the rest of it, right? That's why he's the real Larry legend. Yeah. But here, Viral, I'm about to make you happy. I said I was going to redo the top 10 promotions around WrestleMania, but I think it's safe to say, here we go. Number 1 is Southern Honor. Number 2, which was Southern Fried, is now clearly Action. And number 3 is a tie between Viral and AWE. And because they're both tied at 3 in my eyes, that means Southern Fried moves to 5th, with Anarchy right behind them at 6. So it's what Virals really wanted, was to be in the top 3. And with one show, they've gotten there in a tie with AWE. And again, it's very different standards to judge both of those shows. Do you disagree with me? All right, let's break it down, what I just said. Southern Honor's number 1. Is someone going to dispute that at this point? Probably. Of course, the number of people who contacted me were like, I think Viral's the number 1 promotion. You can think that all day. They don't draw as much. They don't get as much attention. The booking's not quite as good as Southern Honor, and their production isn't quite as high. So what the fuck are you talking about? Or to use those 5 standards that I would use for the 2 tournaments now. Does Viral draw as much as Southern Honor? No. Their gate? No. The quality of their show? No. Which one is getting more attention? Southern Honor, clearly. 2 reviewers went to Southern Honor, just saying. And then how's history going to remember it? At this point in time, everyone's going to remember that Southern Honor just ran away with all the awards. And they showed 0 sign of abating. And with fucking shit weather, they drew 450. That's a clean sweep. So Southern Honor's number 1. Number 2 is Action. Now you can say, oh, but they didn't draw as much as Viral, but they had a fucking slam bang of a show, and everyone's going to remember the night that Matt Sells won. And from Viral, what they're going to remember is, see what I'm saying? So I'm putting Action at 2, but I'm going to put Viral at 3 along with AWE. Now that might shock people that I'm putting AWE at a tie with Viral, but right now they just feel like they got the pepper, man. You know, and plus it's interesting to see guys compete with one another. And then that moves Southern Fried all the way to 5, which may outrage people. But they drew 400 at that one show. Yeah, but did it stick? And they said, well, they drew 265, but let's be fucking honest. When they were hovering around the 200 mark, the truth was most people were saying that they were actually below that 200. They've been fudging numbers, and at some point that's going to catch up with you. And I do feel bad for them that at the point where they are over 200, that's now not good enough. Wrestle America with a shitty show drew 275. Viral is in the mid 300s, going to the high 300s. And Southern Honor in a show that wasn't a blow-off show, where we're still having in our mind's eye the memory of that humongous show with Huck and Joe. Drew 450. They're being outdrawn by Southern Violence. Action is packing their place out. What a difference a year makes, right? That's what I talked about last time. Anyway, let's move on to the next news item. Bill Behrens announced as a producer of NWA Power. Congratulations to Bill Behrens. Congratulations to Master and Machine winning 2 matches at Ring of Honor. You tell me Bill Behrens doesn't know what the fuck he's doing? It's almost like somebody at once upon a time made a list of who the NWA should use, and Bill Behrens was near the top of that list. Maybe I know what I'm talking about, just a little bit, but there's nothing but positives for Bill Behrens being producer of NWA Power. That only helps them, and they need him. Because as much as they may puff out their chest and we're doing so good, I mean, they're getting a fraction of the people watching that show that were once watching it. And Bill Behrens will help them with that, and he'll help with continuity. And Bill Behrens, this is something I respect about the man, is a buck stops with him guy. He is not the kind of guy, the way they handled that whole Jim Cornette thing where they squirmed and it was just not handled well. Bill Behrens would not let that take on his watch. He's a man with integrity, and I hope Bill remembers that's one of his strongest assets is he has integrity in an activity called pro wrestling that notoriously has very little, if any, most of the time. All right, let's get to the commentary. Little tidbits, whether you call them the bald-headed mafia and all this kind of stuff. Little tidbits have been coming out about who's going to whose show, who's meeting with who behind the scenes. And I said that, and a bunch of assholes puckered up around the state. Yes, I know things that most of you are not privy to, and even things that I'm not allowed to even say on Patreon. By the way, I'm going to crank out Patreon videos this week. Don't worry your pretty little heads about it. With that said, Gary Lamb. Southern Honor. Southern Fried. Let me be closer to the point. Southern Honor, Southern Fried. But here's what's interesting. When you see who the allies are, the Queen, while technically subservient and a servant of the King, is the most powerful piece on the board. So if this is Southern Honor, this is Gary Lamb, who serves Southern Honor, yes, but is just a force of nature unto himself. If he decides that they're going to do a 2-day tournament, by God, they're going to fucking do it. Southern Fried. But Southern Fried in a King Lear mode. We've already chronicled how they're slipping in the rankings. And they can get mad, or they can pretend it doesn't really matter and make jokes about it, both of which they're probably going to do, the motherfucking simpletons, when it comes to this kind of shit. And they can deny all they want, but there's the Queen. Who's the Queen? It's the most powerful force. The King is the vulnerable one. Once they're dead, they're gone. The game is over. But who has Southern Fried allied themselves with? Action. The true power. The true power. Southern Honor. Gary Lamb. Viral. The Rook. Powerful. Moves across the board. Laterally. Horizontally and vertically. Quickly. Powerfully. Fortified. Can castle with the King, if need be, to protect. Viral clearly wants to ally themselves with Gary Lamb. Yeah. Southern Fried. Action. AWE? Question mark. Yeah. AWE, perhaps sensing, while right now they find themselves in the interesting position that everybody's cool with AWE. For the first time, maybe ever. But they're choosing a side as well. You got to choose a side in this war or you're going to get fucking crushed. That's what AWE has found out in the past. This us against the world shit, though it makes a great thing publicly, privately, if that's the case, if you have no allies, you have no power. And AWE has learned this. So they've clearly started to ally themselves with this team over here. Southern Honor. Gary Lamb. Viral Pro. Pawn in the game. But a pawn is an important player as well. Important piece. The Renegade Championship Wrestling, who Gary Lamb has taken under their wing. And then, sometimes, you get allies based on who they don't like on the other side. Like Southern Violence, who is just as soon piss on Southern Fried as spit on them or ignore them. Southern Violence is on the side of Southern Honor, Gary Lamb, viral. Renegade Championship Wrestling. Southern Fried. Action. AWE. And once you get AWE has outsized personalities of its own. And I would say Murder definitely counts in that account. Murder also wrestles for the shows that oppose Southern Violence. If Gary Lamb is a player in and of himself, Murder is as well on the other side. Shit's interesting, is it not? Battle lines are being drawn. The pieces will be put into play. Strategies are being formed right now, are they not? And by the way, on the side of here's the bishop. So again, Action is the queen. Southern Fried is the king. AWE with Murder. I'm sorry, Blacklist Uno. You know, I'm old. Scenic City. Natural fit with Action for a number of reasons. That puts them over here. The players on the other side, right? There's the queen, who is Gary Lamb himself. Who's this? Whose idea was it? Who got Gary Lamb and Southern Honor interested in doing a 2-day tournament? It's obvious, is it not? Do I have to say his name? Not if you know the fuck what's going on. He's a player too. And he's over here. And now if I name individual wrestlers who are pawns in this game, and don't take being a pawn as an insult, but let's say, Gunnar Miller, what side's he on? Obviously, Todd and Bill Behrens. What side are they on? Fascinating, is it not? There's a number of other players in the game. QT, GPW. But people may be shocked at whose side that they are actually on. Super fascinating. And then what about guys like Logan Creed, our wrestler of the year? Well, the answer seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? There he is. Or is he here? Right now, you can wrestle for both sides. Of course you can. Certainly Joe Black, who has become a major player in and of himself, certainly worthy of being called a piece on the board. He's over here. But he works AWE as well. But he doesn't work Southern Fried. But it's conceivable that he would be in Action. Fascinating, is it not? Because make no mistake about it, as much as most of these cockknockers have denied that there's a war going on. Oh, there's no war going on. Ha ha ha. Stephen Platinum is such a... Really? What about now, motherfuckers? What about now? Are you going to tell me I'm not right? Are you going to tell me that it's not this and this now? Are you going to tell me that it's not Southern Honor, Gary Lamb, Viral, who identify together philosophically, who want to have allies, who want to be allied with one another? Are you going to tell me Gunnar Miller isn't squarely on that side? Are you going to tell me different players are not on that side? Of course they are. And of course, we got them. Matt Griffin, who can't make more of a public gesture of like, oh, look, we're together. We're taking these pictures together. Isn't that sweet? Bill Behrens, who will basically do anything, at times appears to be putting Southern Fried over more than even Anarchy. Another major piece for that side. Are you interested now, assholes? Do you see things as they are now? Do you see the fight that is taking place already and that is going to take place in the future? If you think SCI versus SCI isn't great shit, then you don't have a fucking pulse. If you think the anniversary show for Southern Honor versus Shindig isn't going to matter, if you think all the pawns in the game aren't trying to get to the other side of the board, so someday they can become major players themselves. Because at the end of the day, if you're worth a shit, you're trying to be the king. The only question is, and you know, a lot of people put out predictions, and I'll talk about this in a video later. They wanted to put out their own predictions. And a popular prediction, in fact, one that every single person has, is that one of the major groups is going to fall. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be one of the pieces around it? Or are we going to have a checkmate? Because the way that they're pushing and I'll just say it, the arrogance of having a 2-day tournament, declaring that they're going to draw 1,000 without names, etc., 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 and the things that are going on behind the scenes to strengthen this group even more, it's amazing. They have ripened quickly. 2019 was their first full year as a promotion, and they won everything. That is an early ripe. But you know what I love to say? Early ripe, early rot. Is that what's going to happen? Or is the checkmate going to happen there? We'll find out. To paraphrase Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones, all of these groups that have chosen sides or had the sides chosen for them by who their enemies are, they're part of the great game now. And the great game is terrifying. The best matches and potential matches aren't the ones taking place within the ropes and from bell to bell. If you haven't figured this shit out yet, people, the best matches are the ones happening in offices, in different fucking buildings. It's the pencils and the promoters. And I'm so glad that I'm here to cover it, that Georgia Wrestling History is here to cover it. And my prediction is there's going to be pieces knocked off of the board, and we just might have a checkmate this year. So let me ask you this, wrestlers, wrestling people, hell, even you wrestling fans that tune into this shit. Are you motherfuckers still seeing the world of Georgia wrestling as a game of checkers? If you are, you're nothing but a mark. A mark. A sucker. It's time to learn to play chess, bitches. It's time to learn the game of intellectuals. The game, you know what they call chess? The game of kings. The game of kings. It's time to learn how to play. Yes, it's difficult and it's hard and it requires nuance and sacrifice and teamwork. A king cannot take down another king. It requires allies. Placed strategically. But the reward is glory, being remembered in history, and being able to say, you really did accomplish something. For those of you who have wanted a unified Georgia, you're fucking getting it. But that unity is happening in two major groups, but it's happening on one chessboard right now. And everybody with a singular goal, and that's to win. And that should always be the goal. This has been Full Disclosure.